Okay, scene one to the miniseries called The Southern Boy. Um, Scene one takes place in Baltimore, Maryland. The main character is sleeping in his home. Uh, the phone rings about 2 in the morning. I'm still unsure of the character's race. I'm still unsure of the character's appearance. His race is African American. I'm unsure of how dark or how light he is at this time. But his phone rings around 2 a.m. at night. He turns on the lamp and answers the phone. He has a cellular phone. And when he picks up the phone, someone tells him that they found his sister dead under a bridge. And from there, his brother comes into the room with the Bible, and they cry together. And then they go to the mother's room, and tells the mother that the daughter has been found dead under a bridge. And then from there, the scene ends. And that one scene cuts. Now, let's think of some more scenes for scene one. One scene is, I guess, after the scene cuts, they end up at the morgue, and they show the viewing of the daughter. They let the family view the daughter, and they see that there is a laceration on her neck, and that her body is slightly turned blue. And the examiners are there, and the mother is breaking down. The main character, which is the brother, is speaking to the detective. The detective is asking him if it's possible that his sister was involved in any kind of crime or mischief, any type of prostitution, drugs. And the brother responds by saying his sister was not into drugs. She was into sports, and she enjoyed fashion and modeling and stuff. And that she was a model. She was a very thin model. So from there, the detective gives him a card, and tells him if he needs to talk to him or anything, here's his card, and he gives him a card. And the scene shows the mom breaking down at the morgue or whatever, crying near the table. The family seems very emotional. And so then the scene cuts. I guess the next scene would be the funeral. At the funeral, there's tons of friends and family at the funeral. During the service, the brother, who is a Jehovah's Witness, he actually is the preacher for the day, and he does the sermons. And so the funeral scene goes on where the brother is preaching and the mother and the family and friends are there and stuff. And then from the funeral scene is the dinner. During the dinner, people come in and they come in and they they eat and they converse and they cry and they talk around the dinner table and stuff, and friends and family. From there, the scene changes. So the next day, the scene starts with the brother, the Jehovah's Witness brother, out in the community. He's actually standing like in the neighborhood, and there are kids out there on the streets playing, and it's sunny outside. The kids are playing with the fire hydrants and stuff, and the brother, the Jehovah's Witness, is wearing a nice white button-down shirt with a tie and slacks. And he's outside holding his Bible. He is actually speaking to the kids about being safe and doing safe things and extracurricular activities. And from there, a few kids asked him, how did your sister die and why did she die? And he tells the kids that it was just God's time to take her. That, sometimes God comes and he takes people from the world. But it doesn't mean that they're still not happy, that they're still not here. It's just that people can't see them. And the kids asked him, well, how are they still here if people can't see them? And then he says there is this person named God, or Jesus Christ, who actually takes people to another safe place, especially if they've been good. And then the kids respond and say if they've been bad, they go to the devil. And he says, yes, they do go to the devil, but God usually forgives people. And if they want to go to heaven and they want to live, they will. And then the kids respond and say, well, I want to go to heaven and I want to be a good boy. And then all the friends say, us too, we want to be good kids. And then the brother tells them, the way you could be a good kid is by minding your parents and doing things, And so from there, he tells him, then I'm going to go home and I'm going to eat all my dinner and I'm going to go home and I'm going to sit in my room and be quiet for my mom because I want to go to heaven too. And then the other little boy said, I don't want to go home and eat dinner. I want to stay outside and play, but I'm still going to go to heaven. And the Jehovah's Witness tells him, yeah, you're still going to go to heaven, but you still got to go home and be good. And he tells him, he promises that he's going to be good. He just don't want to go home right now, and he don't want to go home and eat. That he'll eat some cereal when he gets home, and that's all he want to eat right now. So the Jehovah's Witness tells the little boy he has to eat fruits and vegetables in order to be strong, to be a strong man, so he can take care of mom and dad when he gets older. And he tells him he don't need to take care of them right now because they have to take care of him. And so the Jehovah's Witness tells him, but in the future, in the future, you're going to have to take care of your parents. And then the little boy says, in the future, then, which is a long time from now, I promise I'll eat vegetables. But tonight, I'm going to go home and eat cereal. And he tells him, okay, but I want you to remember it's important to eat fruits and vegetables. And so he tells him that, and he tells them, and I want y'all to be good kids and stuff and love people while they're here. And the boy says, because when people leave, we never see them again. Just like we never going to see your sister again who played with us every day, who spoke to us. And he said, yeah, she did come and play with y'all every day. But she's in a good place now. And then the little boys cry and they say, well, we miss her. We really miss her. We want her to be here to play with us in the water and the hydrants and stuff, and we miss her. And so he says he has something for them, and he has a picture. And they tell him, no, you keep the picture and then you come here and play with us and we'll look at the picture together sometimes. And he says, okay, I'll come here and I'll look at the picture together. And then he gives them a handshake, and then the scene ends. Then the scene starts with, let me see. Okay, so then the scene starts with the brother who is in his room, and he's trying to figure out how his sister passed away. And he's researching things, and he's online, he comes around a tarot card reader. And the tarot card reader is supposed to be a renowned psychic in Baltimore. And she has Louisiana Creole behavior, but she's supposed to be a renowned psychic, and she's actually visiting Baltimore for psychic reading. She's coming from Louisiana to visit Baltimore. She visits different states, and she's supposed to be a renowned psychic that has visions and gifts. And she's not a tarot card reader. She has visions. So we'll put that. She's a visionary. So he sees that this visionary is coming from Louisiana, and she's supposed to be in town. She's supposed to be holding a seminar this afternoon at 7 p.m. in Baltimore. And for anyone is welcome, but there is a price to see her. It's not a high price, but there is $25 per visit. So the brother speaks to his brother, the Jehovah Witness, and he tells him there is a visionary coming to Baltimore, and he thinks it would be good to see if we can find out what happened to our sister. And the brother objects to it. He says, visionaries are false prophets. They pretend to see things that are not real, and they do things for money versus God, versus Jehovah, and that you should believe in Jehovah. You should believe in God, and more important. And then the brother opens up a book, Bible, and he goes to a verse and tells them, false prophets, blase splee, in such chapter. I think it's Deuteronomy or one of the chapters of false prophets. And the brother says, yes, I know that, but she is supposed to be a renowned psychic, and she's from Louisiana. She visits worldwide every year. She goes and she visits people, and she offers her visions for help. And he says, okay, but you should always believe in God more. And the two kind of slightly get into an argument about the visions and stuff. And the brother says, you think her, this lady giving you these visions are going to help you bring our sister back? Our sister is dead. Our sister was left under a bridge with her throat cut. And the guy says, no, I know, but I want to go, and I want to go and see her. And so what happens is, after that, the brother tells him, okay, but I'm telling you, the devil is a liar and you should believe in God first. Let God guide you. And he said, okay, but just this one time, I want to see if it's possible that I could get a psychic reading, a vision, so I can see who killed our sister. And so he goes to the seminar at 7 p.m. And there is this visionary there. When he sees her, first of all, she's very beautiful. She has like a weird like appeal, like a weird effect on him. When he sees her, she's too beautiful to actually look at and speak to. And her eyes are like stunning. But her clothing, her clothing and apparel is what keeps him from feeling so seduced by her. She is fully covered and there is no real shape to her. You cannot really identify her shape. And so with her being so appealing in her face and her hair and her eyes, but her body being covered, he feels misled by her, as if she's taken something from him, as if she's there to actually like take something from him in his thoughts towards women. So when he sees her, he kind of wants to walk away, and then he hears her voice tell him not to leave. And when he hears her voice, he looks at her and she looks at him and they make eye contact. So the whole time that he is in line waiting to get the visions from the visionary, he has his eye on her while she's speaking to other people and they're making eye contact. And he tries to turn away from her and he can't. And suddenly, one of his girlfriends bumps into him and knocks him out of the trance that he's in with the psychic. And she's asking the brother, why are you here? Your sister passed away. This is ridiculous. She's telling him, your brother called me and said that you're here trying to get a vision reading. And his girlfriend is kind of short and brown skinned. She has on like, I guess, pink MGM or whatever. And she's kind of feisty, but at the same time, she's loving. And she reassures him, he doesn't need to go through with this. He can, find support with her. He can come and stay with her. He can come and be with her. And he tells him not now. He appreciates it, but he wants to be left alone. He wants to go through with this. He wants to have this 10-minute session with this lady, and he wants to be left alone. And she looks him in his eyes. She kisses him. She cries with him. And she tells him, here's my number. You can call me anytime. I will always be there for you. And maybe we can always rekindle what we had. And she tells them, if you really want to go through with this, you see this long line of people. You're going to be waiting here for hours. And he tells her it's worth the wait. And so he asks her to please go away. And she won't leave. And he says, please go away. And she won't leave. And then he yells at her and says, please go away. And then the people in the line turn around and they see her. And they see that he's yelling at her and she's embarrassed. So she tells him, fine, if this is how you want it, fine. If you need me, I'm here for you, but you're acting obnoxious. So he waits in the line. Finally, it's his turn. And so when he sits down, she tells him his name automatically. And she says, I'm happy that you're here today. And I'm sorry about your loss. And he says, what loss? And she tells him the loss of the sister. And, he says, well, my sister passed away and I really want to know how she passed away. And so she tells him, I see an Asian gang that she's been around, an Asian gang from Baltimore. And she says, if I was you, I would go around these Asian gangs. I would find the Asian gangs in Baltimore, and I would find out who killed your sister. And she said, it lies in the Asian gang. And he said, well, there's only 2 Asian gangs in Baltimore. One is a very notorious Asian gang. And he says, well, how am I going to get around an Asian gang? And she tells him she sees a Southern girl, to ask for a Southern girl, to go there, to ask for a Southern girl, to ask to be with one. And the guy asks her, well, what the hell does an Asian gang need with a Southern girl? And she tells him she does not know, but to go to the Asian gangs and ask them if they have any Southern girls in their gangs. And she said, you can't go wrong if you do this. Just ask them for a girl from the South. And he says, well, we're from Baltimore, and this is a crock of shit. We're from Baltimore. Why do I need to ask about a Southern girl? And she says, the Southern girl will lead you to your sister, and I have no more for you. And so he gets angry, and he looks back at her and wants to take his money back. And she tells him, listen to me, go to the gang, ask them for a Southern girl, and this will lead you to your sister. And she tells him, to please listen to her, that she wouldn't tell him wrong. So he listens to her. He goes back home. When he's home, his ex-girlfriend is waiting for him and his mother and his brother. And they're asking him, like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why did you have these episodes? Like, why did you go to a psychic visionary? We don't allow these kind of spirits in our house. You actually had a scene with your girlfriend who was there to help you. Your brother doesn't approve of these type of spirits. And he tells them that he actually left and he did not go through with it. And they're like, oh, thank God you didn't go through with it. And the brother looks at him out the side of his eye. He kind of doesn't believe him. He's like, okay, whatever. And then the mom looks at the little brother, the Jehovah's Witness, is like, why do you think he would lie? Your brother wouldn't lie. And so they're like, well, are you sure you didn't go through with it? And he says, yes, I didn't. I promise you, I did not go through with it. I left the psychic reading. So after he leaves the psychic reading and after his parents are asleep, he goes out to the area where the Asian gang is. He pretends like he's sort of like looking for sex and stuff. And he asks them, do you guys have an Asian girl? And do you guys have any girls? And he's like, well, what kind of girl? Like, why the fuck are you here? Where are you from? And he's like, I represent Baltimore. I'm just looking for some sex. And the Asian dude is like, man, get the hell out of here before we shoot at you. And he's like, I just need a girl from the South. I'm tired of up north pussy or whatever. And he's like, a girl from the South is exactly what you need and exactly what we have. And then he was like, we have about 50 girls from the South right now. And he's like, well, can I take this girl home? Can she cook for me? Can she do things for me? Can she be can I rent her for a day? Can I have her for a day? Like, I need this type of Southern love. He starts to like talk about Southern love and how he's tired of city girls and sushi and, he needs something kind of Southern like. And the guy's like, no, you can't rent her for a day. And he was like, well, why can't I rent her for a day? And he's like, because we don't rent hoes. And so then they start to discuss the situation. And so he's like, well, what can I have from her besides sex? He says that's all you can have is sex. And that's what we do. We don't rent girls for a day. And he's like, well, I need a girl to bathe me. I need a girl to cook for me. I need these type of things. And the guy's like, man, you need to go to like a spa parlor for all that. We don't run spa parlors or whatever. Do we look like we run a spa parlor? I mean, we can put you up in a car with her. You can have about 30 minutes with her. And that's about it. And so he's like, 30 minutes, can I get an hour? And he's like, an hour for what? Like, what do you need from her? You just need sex and, a little blowjob or whatever. And so he's like, okay, 45 minutes with her, sex. He's like, 45 minutes is okay. And then he's like, how much for 45 minutes? Like 70, I guess, $200 for 45 minutes. So he's like, $200, that's really steep. You don't even want to let me rent her for a day, like. So he's like, well, I'll give you her for $100 since you're complaining. And he's like, thank you, because, I need a little bit of love in my life. And so he's like, well, I'll set you up with a spot, and you go to this spot, to this room, and you two can do whatever you guys want to do. So he sends the girl in the South. He sends the girl from the South into the room. Once he gets into the room with her, he looks at her and he covers her mouth. He tells her to be quiet. And he asks her to please listen. Just listen. So they're in a room and he starts to talk to her. He said, a psychic sent me here. My sister was killed. And she asked me to come to you, to come to a girl from the South. Do you happen to know anything? And she tells him, I was sex trafficked with 50 girls from Tennessee. And I've been sex trafficked. And he says, well, why were you sex trafficked? And she says, because my parents owed rent. They started sex trafficking people, the kids there whose parents wouldn't pay the agents their rent money.